Hey everybody. So I've had a lot of questions about contouring versus bronzing. So I'm going to chat with you a little bit about that today. So contouring as a sort of popular product and method of makeup application did not really become big until sort of the late 80s, early 90s, and throughout the 90s with Kevin Aquan, a famous makeup artist, and a few others who were making very chiseled looking faces for runway models. And that translated over into magazines, so editorial looks, photographs. Didn't really gain huge popularity for the average makeup consumer until not even quite 10 years ago because of largely social media. So a lot more photographs, a lot more curated looks on the internet. And so that chiseled face and adjusting sort of the shape of your face for photos, that's when contouring really got popular. The average person is not going to contour their face every day, and nor do I think that most people should. It's a lot of work. And unless you've got hey, if you want to contour it, you go for it. You do you. But I think the average person, bronzing is maybe a little more popular and a little more enjoyable for the average person. Bronzing brings a little bit of color to the face, some dimension. And that is sometimes kind of fun to play with and not quite as specific in terms of application of contouring. Contouring is often a cooler color. All of this depends on your skin tone, your preference, and like I said, you do you. But contouring is often a little cooler in tone, really trying to come underneath bones, stopping at very specific spots. Again, really depends on your face shape. Bronzing is easier. It's usually more of a dusting, more of an overall application to kind of bring color, like where the sun would hit to your face. So I'm going to use a couple of products just on one side of my face so you can see a little bit what bronzing might do for your face. And I'll also make sure to have some pictures in some better light, more direct light after this. I'm shooting in natural light, and I'm doing that on purpose because this is what the average person is seen in. So makeup for social media, again, nothing wrong with that. Have some fun. The average person with makeup, the makeup is meant to be applied and seen with the naked eye, right? Someone in person, in real light. So that's where I think that bronzing can really shine because it can be really beautiful in person. I am using the e.l.f. Putty bronzer in tan lines. So I'm not wearing a lot of other makeup today on purpose because I wanted you to be able to see. So I'm just sort of hitting where the sun would hit. And this is a very natural bronzer. And what you might notice is if I look at you straight on here, this looks a little more sunken in than this side. And that's just from the bronzer color being applied here. So it kind of makes this area all recess, right? Dark recesses and light moves forward, right? So a highlighter is meant to raise something forward to the eye, and contour or bronzing is meant to recess or move away. So that kind of makes that look a little more cheekbony. So that is a very natural color, great for the everyday. You can also take a product like that and think about using it in the eye socket. And I'm just showing you on one side of my face so you can compare to the other side. And what you'll notice is it just creates a really nice natural shadow. And this is what people are looking at in real life, right? If you're a person who works outside the home and you want your makeup to be seen by people in real light in person, you want something that doesn't look makeup-y, right? So that just gives you a little bit of an example of how it gives me a little bit more dimension where the bronzer is. And again, this is a super light color. So if you wanted a more dramatic or darker look, you could use a deeper shade. So again, it's super subtle, but right here and down here has made my nose look slimmer. And that's a very light application. Another hack that people like to do, makeup artists like to do with a bronzer, is make sure it's really blended, but kind of go around the outside of the lip, particularly the bottom. And again, I'm doing this in natural light, but you can see how this has made my bottom lip look a lot fuller. Same can happen here above the lip. And it's the most natural way. This is a JLo. Scott Barnes is her makeup artist, a JLo hack. And if you were to apply a lip gloss or anything, a lip liner, lipstick, this bronzer is the super subtle way to make that lip look much fuller. So those are some bronzing tips. I'm going to try another product to show you here. I've taken off that e.l.f. Putty bronzer, just gone back to my regular unmakeup skin. Now I'm going to use the Milk Makeup Bronzer. So this has a little more pigment. There are many shades of this. They've just re-released a whole bunch of new shades. And so again, I'm using a stipple brush. So this is just an e.l.f. small stipple brush, very affordable. And these stipple brushes are really great for cream or liquid application because they diffuse the product, which means there's no hard edges, no beginning, no end, making a little more gentle application. So again, I'm going to take this product. And like I said, this, you'll notice, has a lot more pigment than the e.l.f. one. So again, I'm going to start to apply, and I'm again going to go where the sun would hit. So whatever sticks out, whatever the sun might hit, is where you want to apply your bronzer. And again, this is all depends on your face shape, your preferences. So you might want to think about just playing with it a little bit. So now you can see once again that this whole side of my face looks a little slimmer. So this looks quite rounded, and this looks like it's got a lot more shape. Now, if I were to take that here along my jawline as well, you'll start to see that that can make my face look even more angular. So I'm taking my natural face shape, no cosmetic surgery here, and I'm just going along that jawbone and I'm diffusing or rubbing, and I'm pulling it down a little bit, like so. So you can see quite a dramatic, when you look at me from the head on, and again, you'd really be able to see in person. So this is a much more shaped face instead of round. And that's with no other makeup, right? If I were to take a makeup brush again, and like I did with the last one, kind of go inside my crease, pull this up here, again, you'll see that this contour is very subtle, very lovely, and it just gives the face more shape, more dimension. Can also do that down the side of my nose. And again, just blending that. So this is a very gentle application so that you wouldn't be able to see that I'm wearing a bunch of bronzer. Even without any other makeup on, you can't see it, right? So that is another example. So let's try this again. Again, it's just a shadow, right? Just a shadow. It just gives shape and dimension. So that's the Milk Makeup Bronzer. And again, you could go all the way down. Let's say you've got a tan here, but you're wearing amazing sunscreen on your face and you want to do a little bit more blending, look a bit more summered, a bit more bronzed. You can take that further down your neck. So let's say you've got quite a tan on the rest of your body, but you're used to wearing a really nice sunscreen on your face. You can use a little heavier application of the bronzer, again, really well blended in, to make yourself look a little more summered. So there, nothing. Where you can really see it is when I back a little bit away from the camera. And it almost looks like, you can really tell that my face looks like a different shape here. All right, I'm gonna wipe this off and show you one more very simple application with powder. I've cleaned off my face again of those other cream bronzers, and I'm just going to go in with a powder. L'Oreal Infallible bronzer. This is a very light color, so it obviously depends on what kind of look you're going for, as well as your natural skin. So my skin will be darker in a few months for sure from the sun. So I have two bronzers that I'm going to show you. So I've got a bigger brush to kind of buff that powder on. You can also use a mammoth brush. It kind of depends on what kind of application you want. I'm going to start with a smaller one, and I'm going to add my powder bronzer. And what I'm doing here is I'm really haphazardly, real slapdash, getting this on there. And this, I would even sort of take into here like so. And this can be after you've got some foundation on or a skin tint on, or on bare skin or on sunscreen. And again, taking that down here. But once again, you can tell this nice sort of shadow that's happening here. And it just sort of brings almost a je ne sais quoi to the face, right? When I back up a little bit here, this looks much more rounded compared to this. And it's just slapdash bronzer. Now, if I were to take something a little more pigmented, so I'm going to take the Nars Laguna bronzer, which is darker. Again, depends on your skin tone. I just want to show you what it would look like if I were to add something a little more pigmented and kind of focus on the external parts of the face here. So again, up onto where depends on how high your hair goes, right? I would go all the way up here if my hair didn't sort of hang, right? You can go over your ear, depending on if this is a much darker than your ear. Take that up to your ear. Again, bring that down the side of your nose. Down here on your neck, along your jaw. Pull that down a little bit. And you can also take that eyeshadow brush again and go just kind of slapdash in here as well. You can even put it all over your eye, slap on some mascara, which is something I often do when I want to look a little more put together, but I want to spend no energy or time. So there we have a really nice powder bronzer look. Very nice and light. You can still again see that contouring. Much more of a jawline. So those are some examples. You can also take an eyeshadow brush and come down the side of your nose here. If you want to contour that a little bit. You have to think about the reason that you are bronzing. Is it because it's a fad and people are doing it? Is it because you want to bring making it look like the sun has hit your face? Or do you want to reshape things? If you want me to do a video on contour products to sort of reshape the face, I do have makeup training, and that is something that we talked about, right? Where to put contour to recess, like I said, to push something backward or bring something forward, right? So I can definitely do that if you like, but it's important to think about why you're doing it. Is it because the industry tells you need these products, or do you actually want to use them? And I think that's really important to think about. So yeah, I'll insert some photos as well in a little more natural light, but I thought I would also just add a teeny bit of highlighter while I'm here, so you can see how the bronze makes something a recess or push back because it's darker, and then how that highlighter makes something pop or move forward. I'm just adding a little bit of highlighter here. And so there's a little example, again, just regular natural light, of if you were standing beside me in person, it would look like this cheekbone is quite pushed in and this is quite moved forward, which gives the illusion of higher cheekbones, a thinner looking face. So there we have it. A few different examples of how to bronze your skin. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, please share this video, please subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you bronze. Do you bronze? Do you contour? What products do you like to use on the everyday that look really good in person, in natural light with the naked eye, not on camera? I'd love to know. Thanks for watching. Bye. So I've moved, like I said, into a brighter natural light, and you can tell, especially in this light, how much different my face looks on the bronze side versus the non-bronzed side. This looks larger, more bulbous, more circular, more rounded. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way my face looks. If you were not to know that I was wearing bronzer, it would just look better, more put together, and you can really see that highlight now in the light, and you can even see along my nose. Like, so imagine if I had my eyebrow, a little color in my eyebrows and some mascara on, and maybe something with a little more pigment on the lip. How much more alive, sort of, and healthy this side of my face kind of looks with that bronzer. And when I smile, how much more that sort of pops. I think I will add a little mascara just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I added some mascara and lip gloss. That's all. Right? Looks a lot more put together on this side of my face versus this side. And that's mostly the bronzer. And that's without blush or anything. I'm just gonna add a teeny bit of blush. That was a little too much because I'm not using a real mirror. So that just brings the look to a whole nother level. Now we've got our highlight, we've got our cheekbone pop here, and we've got our bronzer. So now that's really all coming together. So there you have it. Some tips and tricks of why to bronze, maybe where, and a few different formulas depending on what you've got or what you like. And if you need some recommendations for drugstore or high end, I can happily do that. The one example that I gave to you, the milk one, was Sephora or high end, and then the others were drugstore options, the e.l.f. and the L'Oreal. Oh, and the Nars was high end as well. So there you go. Bronzing!